Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I want you to think about a judge like a referee. I've mentioned that in a couple different videos, but it'll help you picture something that I had to paint a picture for a client during a consult the other day. And, the judge, this is a great way to picture when a judge is full of crap about you need reunification therapy, you need supervised visitation, or you don't have a bond with your child. Okay. Now, I have a video or two where I talk about, this bond bullcrap where, oh, you haven't seen your child in a while. They must not remember who you are or be scared of you or be uncomfortable with you. And obviously, we put children in uncomfortable situations all the time, and they adjust just fine because children have childlike faith in everybody and don't think anybody's going to hurt them or anything like that. Now, at vulnerable ages, they'll cry for mommy or daddy or what they're used to. But we put children in daycare. Does the daycare provider need a supervised visitation supervisor until the child gets used to them? We put children in kindergarten. Does the kindergarten teacher need a supervisor or a transitionary specialist or a reunification therapist to make sure the child transitions into a relationship with that teacher? The courts constantly, every day across America, rip children out of parents' lives and drop kick them into a foster home with total stranger parents. And sometimes if there's multiple kids in a family, they will separate the kids into separate foster homes, horrifying them even more. The same courthouse that is saying the child needs to get to know you better. So you have very limited access or a supervisor or reunification therapist. You know what people do when they don't know their kids? Like the regular people in real life do? They'll just go let a parent hang out with their kid. Like my baby's mom. Now, my daughter was at a age, my baby's mom abandoned her after I got custody for a year and a half. So she was 7 months old. She didn't come back into her life till she was about 2. So my daughter was oblivious to her pretty much because she wasn't really, speaking. She wasn't speaking at all at the time that I got custody. So we needed to, have familiar surroundings with her at that age because she didn't know her mom at all. So I had family and other people do supervised visits to get her used to it, and then eventually she got used to it. My baby's mom didn't visit my daughter for 7 years, from age 13 to 20. Maybe it was 12 to 19, somewhere around there, about a year after she graduated from high school. Then she came back into her life. Excuse me. And so at that point in time, my daughter knew who she was. She hadn't seen her in 7 years. So I let her just go take the car and hang out with her. Or maybe she had her own car then. I can't remember. She didn't have her own car for a few years after she got her license. But so I just, the way to get to know her mom again is to go spend time with her. So if I was a family court judge, I would have said, oh, you need somebody to come along with you or something at that age. They're so stupid, they will do stuff like that. So anyway, I was talking to a dad. The mother had been withholding the child for a long period of time, and the child is young, but he lived with the child for the 2 or 3 years that they were married or whatever. And the mother was withholding the child for several months. And the judge said, oh, you need to get to know your kid again. So supervised visitation. Now, listen very, very carefully. Think about what that judge was saying. So picture what I'm saying. Dad goes in there. He's trying to get 50-50 or custody. The judge said, how long has it been since you've seen your kid? Several months. I can't remember. 6, 7, 8 months or whatever. Oh, you need to restore the bond with your kid. You don't have a bond with your kid. Did that judge talk to the child or see the child in person or follow them around and see what their life was like? No. That judge went off of what he said and made a presumption, and the judge testified. It's against the rules of evidence for a judge to testify. It's against the rules of evidence for anybody who doesn't have personal knowledge to testify. Judges can't testify. Lawyers can't testify because they don't know you from Adam. But even if they do see you in the court hallway shoving somebody or something, if they go into court and testify, they've become a witness. So they can't be a witness and a lawyer, or a witness and a judge. They have to have separate roles. So they would have to step down and become a witness on the case. Or else they're all prejudiced, there's conflict of interest, and there's ethical issues and stuff like that. But the rules of evidence say specifically a judge can't testify. They're incompetent to testify because it's assumed the judge doesn't know you. Because if a judge knows you, they should recuse themselves. But if you knew the rules of evidence, you could go off of the personal knowledge rule and know that. But also there's a rule on judges. Then think about what the judge said. The child doesn't have a bond with you, or when you haven't been around your kid for 4, 5, 6, 7 months, they don't know you anymore. Kids form a bond in the womb. So if you were married and living with the mother, the child is hearing your voice and bonding with your voice. I have some people who had that situation and they don't even think to bring up that my child bonded with me from the beginning. Why don't they bring it up? Because they don't use common sense. God gave a monkey. Everybody knows that now. Or they don't have the diligence to say, you know what? I'm going to look at some research and see if there's any scientific evidence that children bonding at young ages. And then you would find that. I knew that because I was a proactive father who had the audacity to know what was going on in my kid's life. And I was reading about kids and bonding and the psychology of, children. And I was studying enough to come across, the child recognizes your voice in the womb. So I used to sing a song to my daughter so that she would not only recognize my voice, but she would recognize the cadence of it. And I can't sing, but I would sing this, little lullaby type of song. And with this little beat, and I would say it over and over. And the mom let me do it, even though she didn't really like me at the time. She was still suffering or allowing me to do that, despite her sister's hatred and jealousy and all that stuff, like a Cinderella type situation. So I sang a song to her, and then after she was born, I sang it in the hospital, and her face lit up. Her eyes couldn't open yet, but her face lit up. It was, and I knew that she would probably recognize it, but when it happened, it's like, it's different when it happens in real life and you see it. Like I almost melted when I shed a couple tears, but I almost lost it with that when I saw that. And seeing it come into life, even though I knew it in my head, just seeing it come to life like that was amazing. So, this judge is going to dismiss all that stuff. But the judge can't testify. But if the judge is talking about the psychology of the child-father bond, then what is the judge testifying as? An expert witness and a psychologist. So the judge is violating 3 rules of evidence. When the rules of evidence are violated, then you have an unfair hearing. If you have an unfair hearing, you don't have due process. You don't have due process, judgment's void. And I talk about this in my rules of evidence video, that even though thousands of you have seen me talk about evidence and a couple snippets of the rules of evidence, you don't want to get my rule of evidence video and thoroughly learn it. Now, you can learn it on your own if you study on your own and you read in detail and you look at case law and that stuff. But people don't want to do this. And they go to court and they allow a whole bunch of inadmissible evidence, or they go in there, they allow the other side to do that. You don't object. You get your stuff shut down because you don't know the rules of evidence, because you don't take this shit seriously. And I keep coming down to stuff like that where I say, you don't care, you're lazy in your shifts, because that's really the root of it. I got all these answers. I say it over and over. I'm sharing with you 100 times the information for free on my free videos than I got with my mentor. And I still kicked ass in court, because it's really your effort and your boldness and having some balls that's really the thing. Because you could take all the information in the world, and if you're scared to use it, it doesn't even matter. So this judge is like a referee. They can't participate in the trial. Think about a soccer match. If somebody touches the ball with their hands, you go to the referee to tattle on them so that they fix it or get them in trouble for violating a rule or whatever. The referee can't come and grab the ball and start dribbling down the field and kick a goal. They can't participate. They're the referee. The judge is participating when they act like a witness. And then the judge is testifying, doing all this other crazy stuff. And then she's saying, you don't have a bond. Well, kids' dads go off to Iraq for a year or two, and they come running when they see them at the airport. So all that stuff is bullshit. But think of a